What happened against the jet sweep last week?
Well, the first one that we just kind of misread. I mean, and it's kind of like option football. You know, you can rep it in practice, and then when you see it live bullets, it kind of the speed of it caught us a little bit off guard. And there was a handful of other ones that were, we had worked that there wasn't a kind of a surprise. The one that was early on, I think, what Gary kind of, kind of took the dive and everybody kind of collided into. That was a bad play. But the rest of them, we had worked jet sweeps for 4 weeks going into it, and it was just a discipline thing and just getting our eyes on the right people. So that happened early in the game, and kind of throughout the game there was a couple that kind of broken us. We missed tackles, but that was something we sure worked a lot out of.
So what was your takeaway from the first game? Alarm?
No, I don't think it's an alarm. I think starting off so slow. To me, there was 2 things that were glaring to me. The way that we started off, was disappointing, and then the amount of penalties that we had was disappointing. And I thought those 2 things, like the big play that we gave up in the pass game, we kind of get glued together and guys run into each other, and then the big run was a combination of some things. So those 2 plays were disappointing to me, but to give up 100 yards of penalties, I mean, that right there's 7 points right there. So we try to break it down to the kids. There was, obviously there were critical plays during the game that we didn't finish, that they won, that we didn't win, and just try to teach them that, okay, listen, didn't go well in the first quarter. We get it. Okay, we settled down in the second half, and then there was game on the line plays that we didn't finish. Then and there was, some of the stuff in terms of penalties. That's not us. That's not what we're teaching. That's not disciplined football. So those things to me are disappointing when you let people off the hook. When it might be, it should have been 3rd and 6, but now it's 1st and 10 because of X, Y, Z. And when you look at him, you think maybe 2 or 3 will happen in the course of a game. Like Gary's is really hard to say because he's going hard. He ducks at the last second, but there's a couple other ones that to me we got to play with a little bit more discipline.
But you also talked about wanting to create more turnovers.
Yeah.
Is that an area you feel like you had to work on this week in practice?
Yeah, it is. We had an opportunity with Chris's play, which, in my opinion, he finishes that, he might have a chance to score. But it has been addressed. A 3-0 ratio to go along with explosive plays, you're not going to win a lot of ball games. So we got to get back to that. It's been emphasized around here all the time. It just didn't happen. So the biggest thing that we told the kids after the game was, I measure it this way. Hey, listen, we lost. We'll never accept losing, but let's learn why we lost. And to me, we lost because how slow we started the game off, and then the amount of penalties. I did think that we fought in the fourth quarter because there were situations the ball got down at the goal line. We could have folded, and that game could have been 10, could have been 17. It could have got really ugly, but they fought back and gave us an opportunity. But to play that sloppy football that early, I mean, it's hard to overcome that.
But the one other positives is that after 3 turnovers, though, that you guys didn't really bend and give up scores on your end.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by the fourth quarter is, there was an opportunity where that ball's on the 2-yard line and we come up and hold them to a field goal, which gives us an opportunity to get a touchdown to win it. Those things, and there's no moral victories around here. You're at the University of Texas. You're expected to win. You're expected to win anywhere. But we're trying to teach our kids this is the way that you have to play football this way to be able to win ball games. And when you do some of the stuff that we did, it's just you sit down and say you can't do this. 100 yards of penalties. That's 7 points, and that's all day. There was a couple 3rd down and longs where they were backed up. Well, you let them off the hook, they drive the ball down, and now you're giving, they punt the ball and they get you inside the 20 X amount of times. That's a long haul for the offense. So it's just trying to teach them, this is how you set up the offense, whether it's turnovers, whether it's 3 and outs and let them kick and flip the field, stay away from penalties, play clean football, play disciplined football. That's where we got to get better.
Going back to Houston, y'all lost against Navy last year against Maryland, an option offense, successful against you. Kansas State, kind of very variable or modified option offense, and then this year at Maryland, another option offense. What is it about the option that sometimes your defense just seems to struggle with?
I don't know if it struggled. I mean, they ran the ball 46 times for $144. I mean, it's, you know, you get into games like this where they're going to run the ball almost 50 times. The jet sweeps, there's, you know, a couple of those things that, you know, they look bad, and they are bad. You know, when you watch them on film and you say, hey, this guy's responsible for this and doesn't do it, that's a part of being disciplined and doing your job. So, once again, just goes back to the part of when you get a team that's multiple, when you get a team that's formational, that's running the quarterback, that's flipping the ball out, I'm more disappointed than cutting a guy through the post. I'm more disappointed than, you know, it's third down, money downs, and we can't get off the field towards the tail end of the game. So all that stuff we could, you know, what was worked, we need to get better at being more disciplined. And that's where we started at on Sunday, and that's where we're at in practice.
Were you surprised y'all didn't get more sacks or more pressure on?
Yeah, but you know
Ehlinger
what's
Hill?
happening is people are getting the ball out of their hand pretty quick versus us, especially on third down. So, you know, there was times where we're getting close to it and the ball's up, you know, so I think people expect us to pressure them on third down, and they're trying to just get it out of there. I just a little bit disappointed on some of the balls in the air to like a guy like Chris. A ball goes up, it should be Chris's ball. That's how I feel, and I know that's how Chris feels. Same with Devontae. So there's a couple of those throws that, you know, you're in man-to-man and you expect those guys to make those plays.
Right.
What did you think of Katie Stern's debut? Was it more good than bad?
Yeah, it was good. Him and BJ, I was really, and I told Craig this after the game and Coach Herman this, is I think you can judge a young guy by his first game. Most of the just good players, they play average to below average, but I thought he played really well for his first ball game, which is a great sign for this program that his, you know, his best years are to come and his best games are to come. But, you know, those guys weren't deer in headlights. They played hard. They ran around. You know, great, you know, a couple really good hits, both those kids, and they belonged out there, and they went, you know, they played really free out there. I liked it.
Yeah, both Tom and if you saw Manny Diaz's comments this week, but they both kind of stressed that maybe intent should be, and judging intent should be part of the targeting rule. Where do you kind of fall on that?
Well, I told Gary's what his, because it happened to us when I was at Houston versus Connecticut, and our kid was their kid was sliding, and we hit him up high. And I just told Gary that. I said, hey, listen, you're going down. It's kind of a bang-bang thing. The only thing is just kind of lift your chest up, and that way, if you hit him with your chest, I think the official will look at that and say, hey, listen, he tried to pull up at the very last second. But it's really hard. It's really hard nowadays because they give you a target, and like everybody's going to the gator tackle down low, especially in space. So everybody's target back in the old days used to be up here, but now it's down here. So when you go to the ground, you're going to get helmet to helmet. So I don't know whether it is, you know, read the intent, and it's kind of like NBA, you know, flagrant, non-flagrant kind of deal, and to say, okay, listen, we're going to give him 15-yarder, but we're not going to eject him. Or maybe it's an ejection for that half, and then he's able to come back. So I think it's a tough thing to go through, because I mean that kid. I mean, if you watch him when they told him he was out of the game, I mean I was sitting over there on the bench because I knew it was gonna happen. I just say, hey man, just don't get overly emotional. You know, you're representing us, and because I knew how hurt he was going to be. But there's not much on those things. I mean, what do you tell a kid? Press pause? I mean, it's like stop at the last second. You can't. Just try to throw your head up as much as you can at the very last second, so at least they can see it up in the press box and say, you know what, his intent was not to throw his head down at him.
Todd, evaluating your inside linebackers when Gary went out, you know, you had to use Jeff a lot.
Yeah.
Malcolm played a lot. Just kind of evaluate that position.
Yeah, you know, Jeff didn't get a ton of work through camp, so we only practiced, you know, for a little bit during the week. So he was okay. Malcolm, I think Malcolm, if you asked him, I think he would have told you he could play better. So, you know, we've got to get better in that spot. You know, a couple of the speed sweeps that you saw, you know, you're hoping that you can run some of those things down from inside out that we didn't really get. So from one man to another with Malcolm, you know, he took it personal. He's had 2 really good days of practice this week, and he's true blue Texas guy now. He's going to be ready to play on Saturday. I promise you that.
Looking at Tulsa this week, what are your impressions of Luke Skipper?
Luke's is, you know, he's sneaky fast, he's sneaky athletic, he can make all the throws. he's got a lot of confidence in him, and that system too is, when you're a system quarterback like that, that can make reads and go really fast and command the offense. It's like I said, you're going to get. We expect to play 90 plays minimum. I know they're shooting for 100, but you come out of a game like we just had and have to line up versus that stuff. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get lined up as fast as humanly possible. But they, in my opinion, they want to run the football. They want to run it, and then take shots. Go for the house and then come back and run it. Third down, throw shots. So a challenge. We've our first 2 years at Houston, we played them, and then they last year's Houston team really struggled with them, in the run game too. So he's a really good player.
It seemed like after the weather delay was when you guys really started to put together some of the stops that we've seen last year. So did you tell anything to the guys during that period or anything?
No, but it's a good time to go in there and calm everybody down. I think when you get into a position where everybody's expectations are to go out there and everybody's fired up and we want to do well and those kids want to do well, and then you don't have early success, sometimes it starts to mess with you a little bit. And it was a really good time for us to go back into the locker room, catch our win. And it was kind of like if the game ended and you came back and thought to yourself, boy, I wish we'd have done this better. We actually had like a block of an hour to sit down there and say, hey, let's get this better. I mean, this is kind of a blessing for us to be able to sit in here and go through all the stuff that we're messing up. So it was good to come back out there and just kind of settle down. And like I told them, it's like, if you can do it in the fourth quarter, why can't we start the game out this way? So the attention in practice has been like really fast start. Let's start doing things right off the get-go. Put these guys in as most stressful positions as possible so they can start to react to that, so they can settle themselves down and start playing football.
Have any of your older
Last
guys?
one?
Yeah.
Have any of your older guys kind of stepped up and given some suggestions since they were here in 2016 when Sterling was here, and there's a little bit of familiarity with that Tulsa offense?
Not yet, but there's. I really haven't. Because we kind of know this system just because we have a lot of guys on our staff that have played the Baylors of the past, and you got Tulsa. We played Tulsa, so but the thing about it is it goes so fast that even if you can sit there and diagnose, like, oh, they're in this formation, they're doing this, they're doing X, they're snapping the football. So I don't want to try to overprocess. I think the one thing that we need to do is just get lined up and just play fast and free. That's the biggest thing I've been telling those guys, and play overly confident. Like when a ball goes up, it's our ball. When a guy runs the football, yes, tackle him, but let's try to strip the football. Let's do things that are unique, that can help us with field position, that can help us in every manner of winning the game, and be disciplined. Don't take foolish penalties. Don't do things that are outside the scheme. And that, to me, is coaching. That's my job, is to make sure that is being a huge point of emphasis this week.
What did you see that you liked, and then what are the areas of improvement?
I thought some guys had some good games. At times there was some really good things through the course of the game. Probably the second drive of the second quarter, all the way to the fourth, I thought we played pretty well offensively for the most part. I just think, you can't turn the ball over like that late. You can't do that and expect to win the game on the road against a good football team that has a lot they're playing for, that you're just asking for a recipe for disaster in the end, to be honest.
Tim, how do you when you sit with Sam? I mean, he did some good things in that game. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But even he mentioned, everybody wants to focus on the end.
Yeah.
How do you balance all that out with him?
Well, first of all of this is a journey for him and for us. We're not a one-game team by any means. Obviously, you don't plan or prepare or expect to lose any ball game, but somewhere along the road, you're probably going to have some setbacks. So the idea is to continue to improve and get better. I thought as a quarterback, Sam did some really good things. I was really pleased with some of the things he did. It was tough. When the team rushes 2 and drops 9, I had a guy spying for him in the run game and covering everybody down. It's not going to be a great passing day. Most teams don't when those kinds of things happen. So, but he did do some good things at some times, and Obviously, at the end, he, maybe forced a play he shouldn't have. Fourth down, maybe. I could see he's got to do it on fourth down, but third down, just gather your thoughts. I think what happened a little bit in our conversations, it was 3rd and 10, and I got to make a play. It wasn't 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. Hey, we can get it. That's like, hey man, I got to make something happen here. And LJ was open initially, and I think he was going to throw it, and the guy spying him kind of got around him, and he had to run a little bit more. And by that time, they covered him. And if he'd have threw it earlier on time, maybe he could have had him. But in the end, wasn't a very good decision by him.
Since Trey was in a green jersey less than a month ago, was 12 carries about what you guys wanted, or was he working with a pitch count, I guess?
Yeah, I trust Coach Drayton a lot in what he does. There's certain things that each guy has some strengths, and we try to have them do that. But as I mentioned to you before the game, I have confidence in all those guys. So through Coach Herman, Coach Drayton, myself, Coach Hand, we kind of all sit down and here's how we kind of want to use those guys. And so that, there was a plan to it, certainly. Same with Keontae. So, I mean, that's kind of how it all worked out. As these guys continue to grow, things will start to take shape in place probably a little bit. You'll be able to see it and be able to tell that.
What are your impressions of Trey?
It's unfortunate. There was the same kind of deal. I thought he did some really nice things for us. Too big critical, the pass protection deal where the guy hit Sam's hand and then obviously the turnover. But I thought he played a good game for us. I did. I was pleased for his first game in over a year. Don't forget, like him and even Andrew Beck, they haven't played a game in over, almost 2 years.
So Tim, based on what you're saying, do you expect Keontae to get more chances?
Yeah, I do.
This week.
Yeah, and probably each and every week.
Okay.
Sam said it was only probably maybe 2 or 3 design runs for him. Was that just because that you guys felt comfortable with him being in the pocket as opposed to wanting him to scramble out like
Well,
that?
I think 2 things. One, they rushed 2 guys, so there wasn't a lot of pressure, I thought, our O-line. And again, that wasn't all game. They did pressure us, and he did a great job of protecting. Much improved from last year, where last year, we say we had protection issues. Sometimes that was a quarterback not getting us in the right protection. We were in the right protections. We got our guys out we needed to get out. And, at times we had guys open. He made some nice seam throws, and he had checked down one time to the back. I mean, that was stuff he didn't do last year, And so there was some good things with him. But I think they were saying step back there in the pocket and try to throw the ball. And there wasn't, we tried quarterback draw a couple times. It's hard when they're just not rushing. It's hard to do that.
Did you see more out of your offensive line?
Yeah, I was pleased. I thought Calvin had a really good game, and Shaq. There were some guys that stood out that I thought first time did some good things. I thought Sam Cosme, when he got in there, did some good stuff. I was pleased with those guys.
Is it Sam, because he did so well on the right side, is it possible that he might be starting there going
Yeah,
forward?
and playing more. You probably see a little bit more of him in there.
Cosme, he really mashed the guy down on the touchdown run.
Yeah, him and Cade.
Exactly. Did I guess it was so good, it was so obvious.
Yeah.
But did he have other plays?
Yeah, he
like
did.
That kinda stood out?
That's one thing about Sam. We use the word strain. He's a strainer. He just. You saw it early in the game. I don't know what it was. We were on guys, but we weren't moving guys.
Right.
So we were hats on hats, and maybe it was you go against your defense for a long period of time, and you back off to keep guys healthy. So you go against the scout team guys, and all of a sudden you play Maryland and they disengage with their hands and make a tackle, where the scout team guys don't. Or they try, but they're not at the same level yet, as some of these guys. And so that was happening early, because we were on guys. We had some good things. We just didn't finish and execute, and made little errors here and there on we didn't sift on a zone and blocked out instead of going to the backer, and so we gained 2 instead of gaining more because we blocked the read key, like stuff like that happened. That once we kind of settled down, caught our breath, and said, hey, listen, just calm down, and we decided to go fast because we thought they were thinking too much, just go. And that started to change the tempo of the game a little bit.
Herman talked about becoming more active in the play calling after
Right.
the first quarter. How did that kind of interaction with you guys work, going into like the second
Great.
quarter?
I thought it's great. We communicate things I see up there to him, things that, hey, this might be good right here, or hey, what about this? And so does he. I mean, he sees the same things. And he's one thing that he has that I don't. He's got the feel of them. He can look in their eyes and be like, hey, we're going to run it here because I can tell the O-line wants they're ready. We're gonna mash them right here. Let's do this. So I think it was a great adjustment. I thought it was awesome, and we kind of do that anyway. I mean, it's always been that way. You get Drew and Derek and Herb. Herb's gonna, hey, run the power here, and okay, we're gonna run the power. So like, we're kind of all in that together. As I mentioned before, we game plan and we have a list. Here's third down. Here's what we're gonna call, and that's what we kind of go off of.
Tom's kind of mentioned that, despite the outcome, this feels different from what happened last year.
Yeah.
I mean, despite, Sam's turnovers at the end and the 3 turnovers on the final 3 possessions. So, is it demeanor? Is it that everybody's more familiar? I mean, what is it that feels so different, at least from the offensive standpoint this year?
We beat ourselves. I think for a while there we were clicking. We were like, hey, we got a chance to be good. We came back and took the lead and felt pretty confident that we were going to win the game. And then we beat ourselves by turning the ball over. And, I mean, think about it. I think was it the 2-minute drill? I think it was the 2-minute drill. We had the ball in the 9 and drove all the way to the 30. Like, I don't know, could we have done that last year or not? You know what I mean? So there was a lot of positive things, even though the outcome didn't come out the way we wanted it to be. So there were signs of being like, you know what, this is different, and that players feel that way too, I think.
And then especially, the receiving game, Colin, LJ, and Devin all seem to have pretty good games.
Yes.
There was times last year it seemed like where you couldn't get all those guys on the same page. Is that encouraging that you're at least getting production from everybody in a single game?
Absolutely. Again, the self-inflicting wounds, right? Opening drive, knee pads, guy comes out of the game, 5-yard penalty. We're 1st and 15 on our opening drive. We go to run it, guy busts a route. Like, how can it get any worse, to start off? You know what I mean? So it was like we had a couple drives backed up. I mean, just things that we tried to sweep play to DJ. We didn't do a good job on the perimeter or the read key guy on the sweep. We lost, 4 yards. We were 2nd and 14 or whatever it was on the next drive. So some things like that put us behind the chains early. We kind of got away from that, and then we started clicking because I think we can be an explosive offense, but we can't play behind the chains.
Time for a couple more.
Tim, I know with you talked about tempo, and you had it working on that one drive. Is that something you look at doing more, or is that more so something when you want to go up tempo, you kind of keep it in your back pocket and engage how you
yeah, I think a little bit of that. It's something we've always had here, but you also try to be mindful of it, when to use it and how to use it. We had been struggling. Our defense had played a lot of plays up to that point. And initially, we kind of were like, "Hey, look, let's run the ball. Let's try to get a couple first downs here. Let's let them get a break." And then you look up, and we're down by 17, and we're like, "We can't do that. We got to go." And then so it kind of clicked and said, "Okay, let's just go."
Which when an offense struggles, the OC was always going to get the blame, the game. Just give me your confidence level as still being the offensive coordinator in Texas.
I still feel great about it. I got the backing from Coach Herman, which is awesome, and the players. Because the people that are here, they know, that are in the building, they understand. Like when you watch the tape, it's not, I thought we had a good plan. I thought we attacked them well. In fact, even in the second half, we had a couple of plays here and there. You're like, we got them, and same thing. We either misread it or guy comes off and makes a play. And, they had some guys do some good. 25 had a great game. Number 4. Those guys came up and made some plays. They got good players over there too, and they did some nice things and would come off a block and dive and grab our guy by the shoes, about to go for 15, 18 yards, and we get 4, So give them credit. They did some good things in the course of the game too. So, but, I think it's been a good week for us. I think we have identified a couple things we need to do to help our guys. And, we got to keep creating depth to play all those guys, and that's what we're trying to do right now, give the best chance to win.
Tim, what do you most want to see out of your guys on Saturday against Tulsa?
I want to see them start faster. I want to see them play carefree. I think sometimes they're still afraid to make mistakes, and so they play early. They played like, okay, I'm on my guy. I know, like, you mentioned Sam Cosby and Cade. They came off the ball and just mashed their guy. Now you want to see more of that, and even if they're blocking the wrong guy, if they do it at that level, we got good running backs who are going to make some things happen. But if you're hesitant, like, okay, I'm on him, I'm on my guy, then it doesn't work. You got to come off, and that's everywhere. Sam's got to come out and wing it. We should have threw more reliefs. He had opportunities to spit the ball out. He didn't. Why? He played cautious. I'll just hand it off. We'll gain 3. I know if you throw it out there, we're going to gain 9. He didn't do that. That was the biggest thing I wanted him to see. That after the game, evaluating him, was he should have did more. He should have threw the ball out there more.